Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dissonant Waves. This is Minisode 30, but also episode 141. Why choose either one when you can have
Yes,
both?
porque no los
Minisode,
dos.
yes, live mas. But in Minisode tradition, currently it is me and Trix again. Ritz is out on vacation.
Yes, indeed.
So we are here still to talk about three albums, but we kind of planned it this way. Two of them are by, I'm going to get it wrong, I'm sure. Is it Utica? Utica native,
Yes.
Joe Bonamassa, Blues Deluxe, and Merry Christmas Blues. The other one is from Danny Elfman, his album So-Lo. And technically, according to Wikipedia, Bonamassa was born in New Hartford.
Yes, it's
But he
New
grew up.
Hartford is the Chicagoland of Utica.
Interesting. Okay. And as may have been mentioned on the podcast a few times, Joe Bonamassa is the one that is local to you or was local to you for a while.
Yes,
And then, of course, you chose Danny Elfman so we could have some fun.
I did.
So, Tricks, now that we've listened to two Joe Bonamassa albums, we've gotten up close, we've listened. What do you think about Joe Bonamassa?
This is masturbatory shit.
Ooh, is he doing both or is he doing one than the other?
He's just kind of. It feels like he's just showing off for the sake of showing off. Like he's a technically good guitarist, and he is playing what's good, and like there's a reason he's referred to as a legend. It's if by some people,
Like, I
but
think. Go ahead.
he just feels like a corporate shill in a weird way, if that makes any sense. And like
Corporate show
I
for
don't know.
who? The Blues?
Yeah, like he's a scam employed by Gibson to sell more guitars.
Oh, interesting. I mean, for what he has, I think he has the chops. I think he has the voice. I think he has the guitar playing.
Yes.
Like there are some songs in here that really show off his talent. Other ones, it just feels like he's kind of just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but his whole image is that he's playing the blues, and he's the current white man playing the blues.
Yes.
Like he opened for BB King when he was like 12 or something, and then he was in a band with Miles Davis's son and stuff like that. Like that is his identity. That is his image. That is his life.
Yes.
And so Blues Deluxe is a album of covers. His first major album of covers. A second one is coming out in October, and this covers a bunch of the blues standards and includes a couple of original songs. But you know, all the people are here: Buddy Guy, BB King, T-Bone Walker,
Yep.
and of course, for some reason, Jeff Beck as well.
Yeah.
And then Merry Christmas Blues is a weirder one because you picked it randomly. It was just on YouTube Music, I believe. And then I looked into it. I'm like, is this an album? It was hard to find at first because it's a weird thing where Spotify has it listed as a compilation. It seems like, and
Mhm.
it's listed as an album on YouTube. But there's like another one on Spotify that's called like Rockin' Christmas Blues, I think, or something like that. That is just Bonamassa's contributions to it, and then you know the stuff that he did with other people was cut out. And then
Yes.
like on Discogs, it's listed as like a later date because this is supposedly from 2016. Discogs says like 2018, 2019. And in general, this just seems to be like a weird anomaly in his discography where it kind of doesn't exist but also does.
Yeah.
A really weird thing. And like the other Christmas thing, America or Rockin' Christmas or whatever, that exists like even less. Like I think it's just on Spotify and maybe on Discogs.
Yeah.
So, what do we want to talk about more first?
Let's talk about Blues Deluxe first, I guess.
All right, this album from 2003, his third album, and it's covers. Probably one of
Yeah.
his most familiar, famous albums. And Blues Deluxe is probably his most streamed song. And you know, I think for what this is, I think the first handful of tracks he does pretty well. Like I can see a world in which he was playing something like Burn in Hell at his concerts, and he's like convinced himself, "Oh yeah, I should record these." Because like he
Yeah.
takes his time with them. He's super like I don't know, like kind of riffing on them and really going into it. Like these are like longer tracks in the beginning, like 7-8 minute tracks, and then it kind of peters off a little bit as we go down the list. And like the original stuff that he does are like some of his like least. They're like the shortest tracks here. This is really like one of our first times covering blues at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we kind of
Yeah.
gotta like give it some kind of basis, right? Like, of course, you know,
Yeah. Like this is our baseline for blues on the podcast. I didn't think about that.
and like I've seen Buddy Guy in concert. Like my dad took me when I was a kid. He's like, yeah, I want you to see a blues legend before he dies. And he would
Mm.
promise me, you know, when I was growing up, like I'll take you to his bar, Legends, when you turn 21. Hopefully he'll be there and play a show or something. And he took me. He wasn't there, but Buddy Guy's still around.
Yeah.
My memory of that concert, I don't remember the songs they played, but what I remember of the Buddy Guy concert is that he did his entire set and then promptly collapsed into a wheelchair and left.
Huh.
Like they wheeled him off. He was good to go.
All right.
And you know, he is 87 now. He was in his 70s then, because this was like 2010 or something like that. So he's
Yeah.
he's made his money. He's made his, you know, fame and fortune on doing the blues, and he can still do it, but it seems to take everything out of it. I don't know if I see Bonamassa collapsing after a set because he's just done it so hard.
I saw him in concert once when I was like 7 or 8,
Yeah.
and that's all I can say about it.
You've had encounters with not him necessarily, but just around him.
Yes, I have. Ow, because I'm from the area as well.
You were telling
Uh,
me about the store that his dad used to run.
yes, Lenny Bonamassa, his father, is actually fairly good friends with my father.
I didn't know that part.
No, I didn't reveal that yet. I wanted to reveal that on air.
Oh wow.
But yes, and so like they go back a ways apparently, and my father is, and Joe Bonamassa is aware of my father and that he plays bass.
Oh wow. That's interesting. Have they ever
Yeah.
played together?
No, they have not.
But he had a store. Joe's
Yes,
father.
he had a physical store at, I think it was in the old Ground Round building for a
Okay.
minute, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't remember, or like in that area, but it was just a store with just like 40 60s Gibsons and Fenders,
Did you ever
like
go in there
in
and like
high end.
shop?
Yes, my father went in there to like to window shop and play a couple, but and I just remember the room very very vaguely, and I'm only remember that because I found a photo of it on the internet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You've seen him at concert. You've been to the store that his dad ran, and we know that this is a guy that has like a collection of hundreds of guitars, and one solo knows. But
Yeah,
and there's also something
and
about
it's
a
believed that some of his guitars are actually fakes
oh,
that he wheels out and shows off as real, like they're special luthier made, but they're not like the vintage Gibson.
but I don't know. He is the legend, the local legend to you, and so you've had the most experience with him. I don't know. Like this is
Yeah,
a weird. I mean, it's a popular album to start with, but it's also a weird one because it's not really him, right? And it's like him doing a bunch of like other people's stuff.
yeah, which I mean that is just kind of the basis of the blues.
Yeah, it's the blues is probably one of the most. I don't know what I'm looking for. Like the pattern is pretty much the same. You know what to expect.
Yeah,
You're looking for performance. You're looking for feeling, and I don't know. It's interesting because it's like you have a whole set of like, you know, covers, and then it gets into his stuff for a second, and it's like you can tell there's a clear cut where it's like "Woke Up Dreaming," for example, has just like this hard like guitar just beginning where it's like he's just showing off and fucking around and like having a good time, I assume,
hmm
and it's like that's way different than anything else here.
yeah,
And then it's like okay, let me get to "I Don't Live Anywhere," which is kind of more of a regular ish. It sounds like it could kind of stand with the others, but it's just another one that he wrote. And then we get into more covers. And then his last song, Mumbling Word, is another original, which is again him, but it kind of fits in more. And you know,
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like when you actually sit down with an album and think about what an album is, it's weird. I think this album will probably work fine if you're just looking to listen to the blues and put something on and not really think about it. But this is just like a weirdly structured thing. I'm just like, oh, that's mostly covers, but there's some original stuff, but it doesn't really all fit together super much. He just wanted to do some stuff, and so he did.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the Christmas album at least seems to be a little bit more structured, or at least has something going on. Even then, it's not like the most perfectly structured thing in the world, but there's more of a through line there. Um,
Yeah.
like looking at Merry Christmas Blues, like it's a compilation apparently on Spotify, and that's mostly because he has like Dion and Amy Grant there, and I did not know who Dion was before this episode, but apparently Dion is just like some really famous old like rock and roll guy pre British invasion. Like Dion and the Belmonts apparently was a huge group,
Hmm.
and so he's still around. He's like in his 80s or something like that, and basically Bonamassa is basically just giving him like, here, do your thing, do blues. He's 84, put out stuff. Like his record "Keeping the Blues Alive" seems to basically be a way for Dion DiMucci to keep making music, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah, that is. I was vaguely aware of Dion before listening to this, but
Mm.
like I had heard of him, but I've not like gone out and actively listened to him.
It's interesting because he's older, but he still sounds pretty good for being. I mean, at this point, he was probably in his 70s, but
Yeah.
um, it was interesting kind of having someone else on an album with him because it's like, okay, I understand who Joe is and what Joe does, but then you listen to something like It's Christmas or Hello Christmas, which are the ones that Dion and Amy Grant kind of feature on. And I don't know, I really liked Hello Christmas. Like there was something nice about the duet that was going on, and Joe really wasn't involved in that track at all, but Dion and Amy Grant had a really nice like chemistry going on. I felt like, and they like I don't know, that's the song that's not him, but
Yeah, that's it makes sense that the best song off the album is the one he isn't in.
yeah, but he's still kind of curating this weird like, it's Christmas, it's blues, and that's kind of the thing is like there's a million Christmas albums out there and a million artists are doing them and writing Christmas songs, but none of them ever hit. There's rarely
Yes.
ever a new classic Christmas song. Like I
Yeah,
think
like not even Paul McCartney could
no,
do a Christmas song.
I think "Wonderful Christmas Time" is something people know at least, but it's not one that
Yeah.
people pull out. Like it's not Mariah Carey. Like I think that's still the newest one.
No.
That's like a huge. Well,
We're going to be hearing All I Want for Christmas Is You well into our 60s and 70s.
I'm gonna look up something. Is "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer" newer than that?
Oh, my gut is saying that it's a 90s song, but I want to believe that it's a 50s.
It's a '70s song written in '79. So
Hmm.
that's not more recent than "All I Want for Christmas Is You." But I guess I
No.
confused it because that the animated movie came out like in the 2000s, so it's like, hey,
Yeah.
it's relevant again.
I think the most recent Christmas song, and it's not even a Christmas song, is probably Let It Go.
I suppose it's wintry because it's Elsa, I guess.
Yeah.
But God, that's such a stretch.
Yeah, fair.
And that's not to say that Merry Christmas Blues doesn't stretch either. I think some of these songs aren't super Christmassy. Like they don't really have anything that's like bright or cheery or jingle belly. Some of them do, but some of them it's kind of like You gotta really listen to it to hear it.
I described this to my father as something, but first I need to know, are you familiar with the concept of a blues lawyer?
No,
Okay, this is a kind of a guitarist circles term, I guess. But a blues lawyer is someone who works like who gets has a job paying them like fat stacks
okay,
that buys like the nicest gear and plays the most basic shit
okay.
and like like all of the flash, none of the nothing, all hat no cowboy.
So why is it called a lawyer?
And because they're usually working jobs like lawyers or accountants that make a lot of money. and like or like dentists, doctors.
And this is like their true passion.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it's just
interesting.
playing basic, like the most basic blues on super high end gear because it's the best they can get.
Okay, it's kind of
But
like it kind of, you know, like a bunch of there's like a bunch of movies out there that kind of involve like country music, and I feel like half of them are like guy wants to become the honky tonk man, guy wants to go to the Grand Ole Opry, but he's a mechanic, he's this, he's that, and I kind of get similar vibes in a way from that kind of thing.
yeah,
Like this regular old Joe thinks he can take the stage and wow the crowd, and by golly, he sure does at the end of the movie. And I think that's
but
kind of
blues lawyer is more of a derogatory term.
sure because it's someone that kind of does it on the sly on the side, and it's just the basic shit. It's not anything like new to the genre or
Yeah.
advancing the genre. It's just someone who's there.
Yes. But I described this album to my father as it's what you'd expect for a Joe Bonamassa Christmas album. It's the sort of thing that blues lawyers would put on when their wife asked them to put on Christmas music when they didn't want to listen to Christmas music.
Okay, interesting. Do you feel like you learned anything about Joe Bonamassa or anything like interesting now that you've kind of listened to something he's actually like done in this way?
No, my opinion on him has been the same since I've kind of started playing guitar, and that he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
and
tough, right?
I have this like yeah,
You have this what?
I have this kind of like weird resentment for him in a way. That it's like uh because he's a good guitarist, but he's peddled like some weird bullshit about pedals and whatnot, and speaks down on people who use certain gear, and but he's just kind of in like I the reason I hate him is because he kind of like gives I feel like he gives my hometown a bad name, even though I could give a fuck about Utica. I don't know.
I mean, it's tough. I was gonna say it's tough for a couple reasons. Like, Blue Eyed Soul is a weird subgenre of music to even have anymore. Like, it was weird enough when we had Huey Lewis do it,
Yeah,
but like, it was was it Weather or no? It was whatever the album that was in 2020 that I was like unfinished, but we put it out anyway. But it's also
I
tough.
forget what it is too.
Yeah, but it's also tough too because what else is the blues doing? Who else is doing blues at this point? Like, there's a bunch of small time people. And there's a lot of blues lawyers and all that, but like, who's big?
Yeah, we don't have any more Stevie Ray Vaughns.
Like, anyone who was doing it or was even influenced by it, like the Jeff Beck's groups and all that, or like the Led Zeppelins. Even like they're old now. They're getting up there. They're not doing it really anymore.
Yeah,
That was a nice thing about some of the slower tracks on Blues Deluxe. Is like, I think Blues Deluxe especially is like I'm getting Led Zeppelin 1 or 2 vibes, like a baby or what song is it that I'm thinking of? Shit. I think Led Zeppelin 3 maybe.
when I listen to Led Zeppelin, I want to read more Lord of the Rings.
Maybe it's Led Zeppelin.
I've been on a
Since I've
roller
Been Loving
coaster.
You,
Can't
that's
say
the song
that.
I'm looking for. Like, it's a slow burn with just some like really nice grooves on it,
Yeah,
and like they let Plant really belt it out. It's like it's a blues rock song. So I at least admire that Joe Bonamassa can do what the older artists could do, because like no one's even really emulating like that hard rock blues rock sound anymore. Like, people that are trying are like your shit, what's the name?
Greta Van
Yeah,
Fleet.
your Greta Van Fleets, where it's very clearly meant to be a homage,
Yep.
and it's not like really taking it forward. It just is what it is. It just stops. This at least
Yeah.
feels like a that's fine. That's cute. He still can do that and bring that forward.
Here's a interesting question that just kind of popped into my head.
Yeah.
Who do you think kind of captured this sort of genre better with White Reaper with their 2019 album, I think it was,
Uh
or Joe Bonamassa? Because I
Did
feel
White
like White Reaper is the closest thing we've covered to the blues.
White Reaper, like, I remember Headwind. That was a fun song. But White Reaper is kind of a different thing. It's kind of doing more modern stuff, I feel like. I don't know if it's
That's
super
fair.
comparable. At least the stuff that we listen to. And maybe they have other. Like the 2019 album, I guess I would not think about it like that. Oh, they just released a new album this year. Interesting.
Yeah, they did. I haven't listened to it yet.
Like, I know You Deserve Love, the album, and kind of like got some play. It was on Electra Records, so it got some notice. But, I mean, I would probably lump them more in with, let's see, who am I thinking of? Like a more advanced Beach Goons or like a Hockey Dad even. Like I think
They don't really have a surf aspect to them.
maybe not, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. But there's like a basic garageness to it that's just kind of like pleasant
That's
to listen
fair.
to, radio friendly. But I would never call it the blues, I guess. So I think my default I would to give the Joe Bonamassa to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm trying to think of it. Have we ever covered anything else super bluesy to compare this to? Because like that Huey Lewis album was kind of its own beast. 'Cause that was I think that was very much trying to evoke like a
We,
white
we
eye
did not
soul or whatever. Blue eyed
Blue Eyed
soul.
Soul.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh,
we did not. If we did some of Rush's earlier albums, they got pretty bluesy. But I think the earliest we've covered is Farewell to Kings.
be my list of stuff by year. I doubt. Um, yeah, Captain Beefheart, King Crimson, Black Sabbath, Isaac Hayes. Yeah, nothing from early on really is super bluesy. More proggy and
Yeah.
rocky. Like even Shel Silverstein wasn't super bluesy. It was just folky country.
Yeah.
I guess the question is like what can you expect from the blues? How can you make the blues relevant? Is there a way to make the blues relevant now?
Hmm.
Because I think on one hand it can be a timeless genre. Like the songs still sound good,
Yeah.
but there's no bites. There's no excitement.
Yeah. I feel like in order for the blues to be relevant again, you would need to figure out a way to reinvent the blues again in a way that hasn't been done. And I feel like that's possible.
I feel like the '90s tried to do it honestly, but that kind of got into like New Jack Swing and Eurodance, or like remixing random
Mm,
songs. Like that was even in the '80s a little bit too, like putting on the Ritz and things like that. I don't know. It's hard to.
yeah.
I don't know if it's more sampling and then like going over that people can do, or taking it in a more electronic direction, where kind of the repetition enhances the electronicness of it. And then I feel like
Mm,
it's kind of like the thing to throw to an old timey genre and like have it be like a little bit more lower quality sound, like it's on the radio or something on the album, and like kind of have it be an intro to something larger. But I feel like
yeah.
there could be a way to do it. It's tough. Because again, another thing I think I've seen for a bit is like an act may do one blues song or may do a cover and like throw back to it for a second, but they don't go into it. They don't prove their chops, so to speak. But
Yeah, like Green Day did a couple Rolling Stones covers.
yeah, and like the Stones are still out there doing stuff. But like,
Yeah.
are they even putting out blues anymore? Is like the latest Rolling Stones album bluesy?
I have no idea. I just know that Mick Jagger's pumping out kids younger than his grandkids.
I mean, hey, is if it's all consensual, that's what matters at this point.
Yeah.
Let's see the studio albums by. Well, there was the last album they put out, Blue and Lonesome, Electric Blues, Chicago Blues, Blues Rock. It's 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 a covers album actually. Funny enough. Let's see, we got Willie Dixon, Buddy Johnson, Magic Sam, Howlin' Wolf. Is there any overlap between these albums? That'd be funny.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any overlap,
Oh,
but
damn.
but there is still a category for best traditional blues album at the Grammys. And the most recent winner of that was Taj Mahal and Riot Cooters Get On Board. Then let's see, Cedric Burnside and then Bobby Rush before that. The one that has Buddy Guy won in 2019 for The Blues is Alive and Well.
All right.
But who? Delbert McClinton's Tall, Dark, and Handsome, and the Self-Made Man. What's Dana? Who's Delbert McClinton? Okay, he's 82. Okay, so he's an old head. Robbie Rush, he's 89. Yeah, he's an old head. So like, it's like you look at the sidebar where all the nominations are, and they're still filling out these nomination charts pretty well. Joe Bonamassa was nominated in 2017 for Live at the Greek Theater, even for the Blues Grammy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Cyndi Lauper did a blues album, Memphis Blues. Oh, okay. So the Grammys put a stop doing a traditional blues album between 2012 and 2016. It looked like so. It goes from 2010, 2011, and 2017. So they had a good gap there. And yeah, so there's still people doing it, and I think there's a handful of artists here and there that kind of go that route eventually, it looks like. But a lot of it's just kind of the same old people that have been doing it most of their lives.
Yeah.
Looking at like a Government Mule, for example, was nominated for the Grammy this year, and that's an Allman Brothers side project.
Mm-hmm.
John Mayall was
My
nominated.
father is a huge Government Mule fan.
He is. Does he
Yeah,
like
he's seen them
John?
live.
Does he like John Mayall and the Blues Breakers?
I have no idea.
It's in the '60s.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, it's one of those things that kind of runs in its own category at this point. But I do feel like there has to be a way to make it relevant again. There could be a way. Is that what people want? Is that what we need? I don't know. But I think having more genres come back and kind of having more things in the mix to kind of pull from and get influenced by and really think about as other musicians or as artists in general or as just people, it makes for better music. It makes for better art.
Yes.
What did the Rolling Stones do before that? A Bigger Bang. Okay, that's just a studio album. That's from the 2000s. Jesus. Rolling Stones really haven't done much new music at all. Interesting. So, which one do you think is better? Blues Deluxe or Merry Christmas Blues?
Blues Deluxe purely because I fucking hate Christmas music in any form.
Okay, fair. I like some stuff on Blues Deluxe because I do think there is actual, he does some good stuff sometimes. Some of the songs are done pretty well. Even if he's showing off, I can again see the okay. Let me record these. They're getting some attention when I do them live, like Burn in Hell, Blues Deluxe. But a lot of it does feel perfunctory as well. And a lot of moments on the Christmas album also feel perfunctory, like he's just doing Christmas songs, and there's not a ton to really say with them. There's not a ton of new takes to really have with them. I do like his covers of "Oh Holy Night" and "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen." Like at least doing like the instrumental of those is a take. And
Yeah.
the "God Rest Ye" ones really sounds like some pastoral JRPG music. Like it really sounds like a town theme or like a Chrono Crossy, just really relaxing, kind of just picturesque seaside town thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think the only song I really reacted to was "Hello Christmas" because I just like, oh, this is interesting. It's surprisingly cinematic. It's got a good duet, good performances, and funny enough, Joe Bonamassa is not on it at all.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, perhaps "Merry Christmas Blues" is the one I seem to respond to a little bit more. But
That's fair.
it's also Christmas music, and there's not a ton you can really do with that unless you're really looking to do something off the wall. Do you have anything else to say about Mr. Bonamassa?
Uh, well, not about Mr. Bonamassa, but I feel like the next time we want to cover something from my hometown, we need to cover someone better or just a band better, and that band is Mo. If you're familiar, they're a jam band.
Uh, okay, Mo. I
They
feel
they are the other big band or project from my area.
I feel like we had to do Bonamassa at some point because I think you brought him up pretty early on as like a thing from your hometown. I think when we first talked about Devin Townsend, I think he came up somehow.
Maybe.
It was kind of like, how do we get Bonamassa in? I've done so many of like local acts to my area and so many bands from Chicago. I like having someone from Utica on the show, even if it is someone that you're not super excited to cover. You kind
That's
of brought
fair.
him up from the beginning.
Yeah, that is fair.
I don't know. I guess favorites, least favorites. I like Blues Deluxe. I like Burn in Hell off Blues Deluxe as well. Trying to think of anything else on here that really matters to me. I think Woke Up Dreaming has some really nice guitar licks. Like it keeps showing off, but it's nice. But I think some of the songs like Wild About You Baby, the Elmore James cover, or like Robert Johnson song Walking Blues, kind of around the second half is where he kind of just does more perfunctory covers that aren't as impressive. And then for the Christmas album, a lot of like half of it's pretty nothing to me. But I do like Hello Christmas. I do like O Holy Night. I do like God Rest You Merry Gentlemen.
Favorites for me. I liked Burning Hell was pretty good. It was technically impressive. I liked Long Distance Blues as well a little bit. And least favorites are probably Walking Blues and Mumbling Word. I feel like they didn't really have to be on the album.
Yeah.
Leftovers felt like a good ending point.
How do you judge that?
I don't know. It just felt right.
Okay, fair enough.
I just refuse to rate the Christmas album.
You refuse?
Yeah,
All right. Well, do you refuse to talk about Danny Elfman?
I do not.
Tell me about Danny Elfman. Who is Danny Elfman?
Uh, he is kind of the he fuck my mic 1 sec. Sorry about that. He is this new wave musician, most famous for his role in Oingo Boingo. And this album, in fact, is the reason that Oingo Boingo exists. Did you know that?
Or is it more that they exist in their modern form?
No, it is. Oingo Boingo would not have been published without this album.
I thought Oingo Boingo did stuff before this.
This is what I'm remembering, but I could be wrong. I
I
remember
mean,
reading that they wanted So-Lo published, and Danny wanted them to also do an Oingo Boingo album, and I think it got kind of dragged along like that.
so they were on A&M Records, and they released their first 3 albums through them. And then they went over to MCA, and I guess MCA wanted Danny Elfman, but not Oingo Boingo.
Yes,
But he
that
kind of,
sounds right.
but he kind of just manipulated things to make Oingo Boingo the backing band, so it was basically an Oingo Boingo record anyway.
Yes,
And then I guess apparently Flea was there for a minute for some reason. At least that's
that sounds about right.
yeah, it sounds like what Wikipedia says. But yeah, this is basically an Oingo Boingo record, but it went through some extra steps.
Yeah,
So why'd you choose this?
because I was thinking about choosing or having us watch Pee Wee's Big Adventure,
Oh,
and I'm like, nah, let's not do that. Let's just do the Danny Elfman record, his solo release instead.
well, it's definitely cleverly titled So-Lo.
Yep,
So you want to know my hot take?
let's hear it.
This is way better than Dead Man's Party.
Yeah, it is.
This is great. Dead Man's Party I was never truly on board with, but this is great.
This is phenomenal.
This is fun. This is very 80s. This is very new wave. He Danny Elfman has a really versatile voice. I was very surprised to find out.
Yes.
Like it's the guy that did the Jack Skellington songs, and he's doing these kinds of songs too. And that's kind of
Yeah.
amazing. He also has like that. I don't know what it is that 80s singers were doing. Or do they like they have a specific way of talking? It's very, they're singing it, but it's like a very specific voice intonation. Like Robert Smith kind of does it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like so that was kind of just like a thing that they were doing, and it's like, oh, okay, Elfman can do that. All right, I don't know I don't know how to like properly describe it or like what it is though.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't either.
fair enough. But hey, yeah, Gratitude's a great opener, and then we get like it's just like honestly, Cool City, Go Away, Sucker for Mystery. It goes pretty hard, surprisingly.
It does.
Gratitude is apparently the only single. And it also takes its time kind of introducing you. I think it's kind of around It Only Makes Me Laugh where I'm really like, oh, this is ska. This is hella ska. I see where they give
This
it.
is the first time where I actually see it and agree with you, Domino.
Well, ska is listed as a genre for it, so it's not it's not out of the wheelhouse there. See, ska really was taking off in like the late '80s, early '80s. Oh yeah, this is where Mighty Mighty Boss Tones was getting their start. So it's not too out of the ordinary. It's not too out of the realm of things.
It is not.
But Oingo Boingo was one of those bands when we did them last time. Like, oh, they were popular in the '80s, but Talking Heads is so much better. I'm sure Duran Duran is so much
Yes.
better. But this time it's like, no, 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 no. Danny Elfman had something going on here. But
Yeah, I think this is some of his best work.
we're talking about somebody that's also been a very famous music composer who's done so many movies. Like
Yes.
Oingo Boingo at this point is just a footnote of like, oh yeah, did you know that Danny Elfman was in a band before he was a film composer?
Yeah.
It's like Batman,
The
Spider Man,
Simpsons theme.
The
The
Simpsons
fucking
theme,
Simpsons theme.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah,
Pee-wee's
like
Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Mission Impossible. At least the movie version. You didn't do the original theme, of course, but
Yeah.
of course, he was there was accusations of sexual harassment this year, so that's less fun to hear about.
Uh, Not totally bummer.
What is that a reference to?
I don't fucking know.
That did not sound like
I
you.
was just trying to I was just trying to say something in like a fucking 80s radical tone. Like
Totally
I don't know if you've
bummer.
watched that. Don't I don't know if you've watched Gravity Falls, but the more perfect dipper in her imagination.
No, I don't know what that is.
That
I
sentence made that sentence made sense to somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah, he denied the allegations. That apparently happened in the mid 2010s. It just kind of sucks. But there doesn't seem a lot of news coverage about it. Not like there used to be, at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it,
Who knows?
honestly.
Yeah. It's complicated.
Yeah, and he's 70. That's kind of amazing.
It is.
And he's married to Bridget Fonda, who apparently retired as pretty much as soon as they got married and had a kid.
Hmm.
Which, hey, if you're married to Danny Elfman and he's Danny Elfman, I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah.
He's made a ton of money in his life. He's scored some of the
Absolutely.
biggest movies. And Oingo Boingo, I'm sure the residuals for that are fucking phenomenal too. At least they should be.
Yeah.
What do you like about Solo?
Um just the instrumentation.
Yeah, what about it? Like the synthy stuff, or like just kind of how weird it sounds?
It's just all kind of phenomenally voiced and well written.
Yeah, like some of them, like some of the intros are just I don't know how to describe them. They're just meant to be weird. Like this is a meant to be a weird sounding band. Like I
Yeah.
can see why they were kind of circus themed for a while because this feels like a circus in a way. Like something
Yeah, I
like
could yeah.
something like Cool City has that like it's like I don't know like what else do you call that other than just like '80s weird bullshit, but in a good way.
Yeah. I like that Cool Cities opening kind of bass synth. Sounds like it was ripped right off of Sega Genesis.
Yeah, and this was years before that. This is like the Famicom just came out in Japan basically.
Yeah.
So in a way, I can see if Japanese musicians and people working with like the Genesis Soundware were really looking to Oingo Boingo and stuff for like rock sounds that they were trying to use to like emulate,
Yeah.
and like at least something that like was similar to what they could achieve, right? Like I know like Mega Man 2 and all those like the composer for those games was like trying to go a little more harder with the rock, but if Tim Burton could be Oingo Boingo inspired, I'm sure a lot of people were as well.
Yeah.
Who do you think has had more impact on culture? Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo or David Byrne and Talking Heads?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um Danny Elfman. I feel like he's reached more of the masses and has impacted them on some minor scale, whereas David Byrne is more in the background, but those who recognize him, I
Interesting.
forget where I was going with this, but
Those who know,
I
know.
feel like those who know, but yes, I feel like more like even with just like the Simpsons theme, I feel like more people know it than
Sure. Sure.
we'd think.
And there's gotta be something really exciting too. Like if you're Tim Burton and Paul Rubens, which rip Paul Rubens, of course, in the '80s,
Yes.
And you're like, who's gonna score our Pee Wee Herman movie? And you're just like,
By the
oh,
way, Paul Reubens was from Oneonta, New York.
was what in New York?
Oneonta, New York.
Is that
It's about an hour from me now.
oh nice? But like, if you're Tim Burton and Paul Reubens, you're like, who's gonna score our movie? And you're just like, we really like Oingo Boingo. Let's go ask them. And they just say
Yeah.
yes. And that's wild. And then it just leads into this whole big thing.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure goes harder than it absolutely should.
I have never seen
I'm here
anything
for
Pee Wee related.
You need to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah,
If you ever come to New York, we are going to sit down and watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I'll watch all of them then.
Sure, fuck it. Big Top Pee-wee sucks, but I'll watch it.
The second or third one.
I think I forget. It's the one where Pee-wee joins the circus.
Like, what is Pee Wee Herman? Is Pee Wee Herman just a man child going about life? I always kind of imagine him as like a childish Mr. Bean.
That's basically what he is.
Like he talks.
Yeah. He has a very whimsical life. He isn't shown to have a job, I don't think, in a Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But in Pee-wee's Playhouse, the TV series, he feels more like he's a TV presenter. Like, it's kind of obvious.
Okay. Is that just from the acting or just like the character as a whole?
Just the character as a whole and the sets, and he's like moving around and introducing things.
Okay. It's like, I mean, obviously Paul Reubens had a bunch of work outside of that and was relatively popular for doing other stuff, but never quite outgrew that Pee Wee shadow.
No. And people wrongly call him a pedophile.
Yeah, he was just, I guess, what, gay jacking off in a theater, or
No, there was that incident. He got arrested for jerking off in a porno theater, which is like getting arrested at McDonald's for eating.
yeah.
And then he in the 2000s he got accused of owning child pornography. And they like recovered some magazines, but they were like just like vintage swimsuit magazines that had a bunch of like children's bathing suits.
So I mean but that wasn't probably the focus, I would imagine. It's like a catalog or whatever.
Yeah, no, but that was actually like all they found, but they like still charged him for it, if I'm remembering correctly.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia description of it. He was a collector of erotica, apparently. A lot of gay
Yeah,
erotica.
and also a
Well,
lot of vintage stuff.
yeah, a lot of vintage nude photos and images, but not in sexual ways, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Did not know that. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up that that was kind of like 20 years of his life.
Yeah,
But he did have a comeback eventually.
yeah. That last Pee Wee movie came out on Netflix in like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, and he was doing a couple different movies, a couple different TV show things.
Yeah, I want to say he was voice acting in something.
Yeah, he was in Minecraft Story Mode, Call of
Oh my
Duty,
god, I forgot about
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, an episode of Bob's Burgers that just came out apparently. Yeah, it's from like his second resurgence on. He was doing a lot of voiceover work and like TV stuff,
that.
kind of going the Tim Curry route in a way as he got older.
Yeah.
Wow, Pee Wee's Playhouse only had 45 episodes? That's kind of crazy.
Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis.
Oh, yes.
And at that point, he was going by Larry Fishburne.
Yes. When he was a kid on Apocalypse Now up through the 80s, he was going by Larry Fishburne. He was on WWE Raw, of course. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense to somebody. He did Pee Wee on Broadway. Okay.
He did that advertisement where he told you not to smoke crack.
But talking about Solo, though,
Yeah.
um, it's a cool album. I really like it. I'm very surprised at how much I like did a 180 on like not liking Dead Man's Party, the one that came after it, but this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what's so different, but like what a difference a year makes, but maybe it's just letting Danny Elfman have more
Here
control.
makes a lot of difference with Boingo.
What was that?
A year makes a big difference with Oingo Boingo. Year by year, they release different shit.
Then they did Boingo in '87, or Boingo, I don't know, Boingo, I don't know, Dark at the End of the Tunnel, and then
They've released the album Boingo 4 times or something like that.
this is kind of like literally in the middle, really. We've
Yeah.
covered Boingo Boingo in the most middle of the career we could do it.
Yeah.
Is this gonna be like a rush situation where the early stuff is better, or the later stuff is better? You think?
I don't know. They're both good in my book.
There's a lot of later stuff of Rush that you hate.
Yeah, Rush's later stuff is not great.
But like, if you listen to Boingo or Boingo,
Yeah, they're a couple times their Oingo Boingo's later stuff is more interesting. It gets a lot weirder.
okay, I'm down with weirder. Oh, they did a cover of "I Am the Walrus." Interesting.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about Solo?
That it's the obvious album of the week.
Yeah, I was gonna try to figure out a way to put Joe Bonamassa's album of the week, but this is such an easy album. It just goes down so smoothly. I can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Uh, I still like the Christmas album second, and then the Blues Deluxe third. I'm sure you'll switch those.
Exactly what I'll do. Uh, the Christmas album at the bottom, Blues Deluxe, and then Oingo Solo.
And Ritz is not listening to these and probably won't.
Yep,
That's fine. This is why I
that
like
is fine.
doing our own thing, because we'll listen to Oingo Boingo more. Ritz, we'll have to make him do it.
Yeah.
But that leaves us with next week, where, just announcing it real quick again, we're going to do Muse's Absolution and Black Holes and Revelations, JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown's Scaring the Hose, plus Scaring the Hose DLC pack, and then Pizza Death, Slice of Death, and Reign of the Antichrust. That's
Yes.
2 projects each by an artist. And it's kind of I don't know, really a bummer, I think, doing those Muse albums in the same episode, because they're both like the highlight of their career, I think. It's a lot of content to get through, but that's how I designed it. That being said, I do want to
Yeah.
mention that both Absolution and Black Holes and Revelations have a bonus track, and I do want to include those. So, Fury for Absolution and Glorious for Black Holes and Revelations.
You best remind Ritz.
Yes, I will do that. Unlike digital stuff, I think it's included usually, but technically they're not the end of the album. But but yeah. Anything else to say? Or you just want to end it here?
Let's just end it here.
All right, that's gonna do it for us. This has been Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic. You can find me online at DACICHOCKI on YouTube. I know, on Twitter. Fuck, it's late. Dominic Choga on YouTube if you must. I'm also on the Games My Mom Thought podcast. We just did an episode about Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. You can also find us at dissonantwaves.space. Buy our merch on Redbubble. We have clocks, we have shower curtains, we have puzzles, aprons, whatever. We have a Blue Sky account. Go look for that in the description below. And still follow us on Twitter if you want. Tricks?
Yeah. We have not left X.
Yeah.
I've been tricked. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Hive. I spray paint boxcars with tweets now.
Regular old
And
boxcar child.
yes, Benny and his chipped pink cup.
It's the thing you mention every time I bring up the boxcar children.
It's the one thing I fucking remember about boxcar children, I'm not gonna lie.
It's fair. He also liked to eat a lot. I don't know if you remember that.
I do not.
That was his other big characteristic, was he liked to eat all the time.
I just remember the book where they go to Corning, New York to make glass. And I think Benny
Oh,
gets kidnapped.
that's probably one of the original books where they actually had steaks.
I think it was in like one of like the special books that was in like the 100s.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to. I don't know. Maybe I'll
I'll
read
have
some
to
of those
look
again.
for it.
Well, that's gonna do it for us. Hope you have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, girls, guys, everybody else in between, neither, both, or whatever else.